Hey there.
Oh, hey.
You know how a song can just give you chills
Yeah.
or like make you want to dance or even just change your whole mood?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's like the raw power of music that we're diving into today.
Okay.
Specifically, how it can be a force for social change.
Right.
Something I think we all kind of feel, but maybe haven't like really explored, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think that's true.
It's just kind of there.
Yeah, it's almost intuitive, I think,
Yeah,
that music can kind of move us in that way,
absolutely.
especially when it comes to like social issues.
Yeah.
It has this power to like bypass all those intellectual walls we put up
Right.
and just make us think and feel and maybe even act differently.
Totally. And this deep dive is all about how that power plays out for intersex and transgender artists.
Yeah.
Using this super interesting article and story from TATANKA as our guide.
Interesting.
Have you heard of them?
I have not.
Okay. Well, they're doing some really cool stuff around music and social justice. Even something called the Synthetic Sisters series,
Whoa, what is that?
which sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh,
It's like AI music from the future.
that's wild.
I know we'll have to circle back to that later.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
But for now, let's zero in on their piece about intersex and transgender artists.
Sounds good.
It highlights three major themes:
Okay.
music as activism,
Hmm.
the significance of representation, and the crucial role of community support.
I like that.
Break that down for me.
Sure.
Let's start with music as activism.
Okay.
It's like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Think about all the protest songs throughout history,
Right.
from Billie Holiday's haunting Strange Fruit
Mm-hmm.
to Public Enemy's Fight the Power.
Yeah.
Music has always been a way for people to fight for what they believe in.
Totally. And like today, intersex and transgender artists are carrying that torch,
Yeah.
using their music to challenge norms
Mm-hmm.
and push for equality. It's fascinating how artists like Sam Smith and Janelle Monáe just blend their activism seamlessly into their art.
Right.
It's not just about the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's about owning their identities
Mm.
and demanding to be seen and heard.
So it becomes this act of defiance almost?
I think so.
It's like making a statement, not just making music.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And speaking of making a statement that leads us to our next theme,
Okay.
representation.
Got it.
Why is it so crucial for people,
Yeah.
especially for marginalized groups,
Right.
to see themselves reflected in music and media?
I mean, it's got to be validating, right?
Oh, yeah.
To see someone who looks like you, shares your experiences
Right.
up there on stage or on screen.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I can do that too. My story matters.
It's about feeling seen and valued like you belong.
Absolutely.
And for intersex and transgender individuals,
Mm-hmm.
especially those who have historically been misrepresented or erased,
Yeah.
that visibility is everything.
Yeah.
It dismantles harmful stereotypes
Uh-huh.
and allows for authentic self-expression.
Right.
Think about the impact artists like Sophie,
Yeah.
a groundbreaking electronic music producer,
Yeah.
and Teyana Taylor with her bold and unapologetic style have had...
I mean, they're paving the way for others,
They are.
but it can't just be about a few big names, right?
You're absolutely right.
It needs to be across the board.
It needs to be systemic.
Yeah.
It's about creating opportunities for a diverse range of intersex and transgender artists to thrive.
Right.
And that brings us to the importance of community support.
Okay, so it's not enough to just have talent.
Right.
You need a network. You
Yeah.
need people who believe in you and lift you up.
Exactly. And for artists who are often navigating a system that wasn't built for them,
Right.
that support is critical.
Yeah.
Think about organizations like GLAD,
Oh, yeah.
which fights for LGBTQ plus representation in media,
Mm-hmm.
or the Trans Lifeline,
Right.
which provides peer support and resources. They create these safe spaces where artists can find their footing and connect with others who get it.
That makes sense. You need that solid foundation to really make your mark,
Totally.
especially when you're pushing boundaries and challenging the status quo.
Definitely.
Which brings us to Skye and Jordan, right?
Yeah.
The heart of this TATANKA article.
Their story is a great example of all of this.
Okay.
It's a fictional account,
Okay.
but it gets to the core of what it means to be an intersex or transgender artist trying to find your voice in a world that doesn't always understand.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more about Skye and Jordan.
Sure.
Who are they and what makes their story so compelling?
Well, Skye is an intersex artist who, from a young age, felt the pressure to conform to societal expectations of gender.
Oh, wow.
They never quite felt like they fit in,
Okay.
and that struggle became the driving force behind their music.
I see.
Through their EP Chords of Authenticity,
Uh-huh.
they explore the complexities of their identity,
Right.
creating this raw and vulnerable soundscape that resonated with listeners who felt similarly unseen.
Using music to process those feelings and connect with others who get it?
Yeah.
That's powerful. What about Jordan?
Jordan's story is equally moving.
Okay.
Music became his outlet during his transition,
Mm-hmm.
a way to navigate the emotional roller coaster of self-discovery and acceptance.
Right.
He poured those experiences into a song, Unmasking,
Wow.
which became an anthem for the transgender community.
I can see that.
It spoke to the pain of hiding your true self and the liberation that comes with finally embracing who you are.
So both of them used music to make sense of their own journeys,
Right.
but then their paths intertwine.
Exactly. Imagine a music festival dedicated to LGBTQ+ artists.
Okay.
That's where Skye and Jordan first met.
Cool.
There was an instant connection,
Wow.
a shared understanding of what it meant to navigate the world as their authentic selves.
Mm-hmm.
That spark ignited a creative partnership.
Okay, now it's getting really interesting.
They started experimenting, blending their distinct styles,
Hmm.
Skye's introspective lyrics and haunting melodies,
Mm-hmm.
with Jordan's energetic beats and spoken word interludes.
Whoa.
That collaboration culminated in Unchained Melodies,
Okay.
this anthemic track that celebrates self-love, resilience, and the power of vulnerability.
Got it.
Their concerts became more than just performances.
Right.
There were spaces where fans could celebrate their identities and find a sense of belonging.
It's amazing how music can create these communities,
Yes.
these safe havens where people can just be themselves.
Yeah, and Skye and Jordan didn't stop there.
Okay.
They recognized the need to pay it forward,
Oh, wow.
to create that same kind of support for other aspiring artists.
Right, they became mentors.
They did.
That's awesome. What did they do?
They started organizing workshops specifically for intersex and transgender musicians.
Wow.
They knew firsthand how hard it could be to break into the industry.
Right.
So they wanted to provide a space for mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
skill development,
Yeah.
and confidence building.
So they weren't just making music, they were actively nurturing the next generation of artists.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And their commitment to creating change went even further.
Okay.
They even participated in a documentary about intersex and transgender artists,
Wow.
sharing their stories and advocating for greater inclusivity in the music industry.
Wow. They're like real-life superheroes,
They are pretty inspiring.
using their platform to amplify these important voices.
Absolutely.
Their journey is so inspiring.
It is.
They went from finding their own voices to building community and then becoming advocates for change. It's truly amazing what music can achieve.
Absolutely. Skye and Jordan's story highlights how music can be more than just entertainment.
Yeah.
It can be a powerful force for personal and societal transformation.
Right.
But their story is just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
There's a whole world of intersex and transgender artists out there,
Right.
each with their own unique experiences and perspectives to share.
Okay, so how do we as listeners tap into that world?
I think it starts with being more aware of the artists we're listening to
Mm-hmm.
and the stories they're telling.
Yeah.
Are we seeking out diverse voices?
Yeah.
Are we actively supporting intersex and transgender musicians?
Okay.
And are we considering the ways in which their identities might intersect with their musical expression?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's about being a conscious consumer of music, right?
Exactly.
But I think a lot of people might be wondering, what exactly does intersectionality mean in this context?
The great question.
It's a word that gets thrown around a lot.
It does.
I think it's important to define.
I agree. Let's unpack that a bit.
Okay.
Intersectionality is this powerful concept that recognizes we all have multiple identities.
Yep.
Our gender, our race, our sexual orientation,
All right.
our socioeconomic background, and so on.
Uh-huh.
And these identities don't exist in isolation.
Okay.
They intersect and shape each other.
Right.
For intersex and transgender artists.
Yeah.
This means their experiences in the music industry
Mm-hmm.
are influenced not only by their gender identity,
Okay.
but also by their race, their class, their disability status,
Right.
all these other facets of who they are.
So it's not just about one aspect of their identity.
Right.
It's about the complex interplay of all those different pieces.
Exactly.
Right? It's about seeing the whole person.
Exactly.
And this is where things get really interesting.
I agree.
We need to think about how those intersecting identities might impact their musical journey.
Absolutely.
For example, A Black transgender woman might face different challenges and opportunities than a white intersex man.
Right.
Their experiences with discrimination, access to resources, and even their musical style might be shaped by these intersecting identities.
Right. Their music might sound different.
Yeah.
It might be influenced by different genres, different cultural traditions.
Right.
And it's important to recognize and appreciate that diversity.
It makes you realize how much we don't know.
It does.
How much we haven't been exposed to. It's a call to dig deeper, right?
Yes. To seek out those diverse voices.
Yeah.
And really listen to what they have to say.
Absolutely. And that's what's so exciting about 𝗓𝗓.
Yeah.
It has this incredible potential to open our minds and hearts to experiences that might be very different from our own.
This is already blowing my mind.
I know, right?
But before we go too far down the rabbit hole,
Sure.
I'm curious about something we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
TATANKA's work with indigenous wisdom and social justice.
Oh, yeah.
They seem to be doing some really unique stuff.
They're exploring the intersection of music, social change, and spirituality.
Wow.
There's a depth to their mission that goes beyond just promoting music.
Right.
It's about tapping into the transformative power of art to heal and connect us.
And you know what that makes me think back to? Those synthetic sisters.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about earlier.
The ones from the future.
Yeah, these AI-generated music projects from the future.
It's wild, right?
It's like a message in a bottle from the future of music.
I love that analogy. It makes you wonder, what role will technology play in shaping the future of music?
Yeah.
Especially for marginalized artists.
Right.
Could AI be used to amplify those voices?
That's a good question.
To create new platforms for expression? To break down even more barriers?
Those are some big questions.
I know, right?
And I think we'll dive into those a bit more later. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered so far.
Sounds good.
We've talked about music as activism, the crucial role of representation,
Yeah.
the power of community support,
Right.
and the importance of understanding intersectionality.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
But what I find really striking is how all these themes converge in the story of 𝗧𝗓 and 𝗓𝗓.
Their journey embodies the potential of music to create change, both on a personal and societal level.
Absolutely.
But their story is just one thread in the rich tapestry of intersex and transgender musical expression.
Right.
There's so much more to explore. And I think our next step is to delve into the specific ways intersex and transgender artists are using their music to challenge the status quo and pave the way for a more inclusive and equitable future.
Okay, I'm ready to dive even deeper, but first, a quick break. We'll be right back with more on the fascinating world of intersex and transgender artists.
You know, it's like we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Thinking about 𝗧𝗓 and 𝗓𝗓's journey, their dedication to mentorship,
Right.
using their platform for advocacy.
Yeah.
It reminds me of another powerful example,
Okay.
the artist 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗠.
Oh, wow. 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗠.
Have you heard of her?
Oh, yeah. Her voice is just
It's incredible.
otherworldly, haunting, and beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember when she won the Mercury Prize back in 2005.
Oh, yeah.
It was a huge moment for transgender visibility.
It was groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
Not just for her talent, which is undeniable,
Right.
but also for her courage in using her platform to speak out
Yeah.
about trans rights and environmental issues. Her music is deeply personal,
Right.
but it also tackles these huge societal questions,
Yeah.
pushing listeners to confront their own biases and assumptions.
You know, it's interesting you bring up 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗠
Yeah.
because she's also a great example of how genre can play a role in activism.
That's true.
Her music, with its electronic and experimental elements,
Right.
kind of breaks free from traditional pop structures.
Yeah.
It allows her to express these complex emotions and ideas in a way that maybe wouldn't be possible in a more conventional format.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
Genre can be a powerful tool for creating space for marginalized voices.
Absolutely.
Think about punk rock, for example.
Yeah, okay.
It's always been a genre that embraces rebellion and challenges norms.
Right.
It's no surprise that so many LGBTQ+ artists have found a home in punk,
You're right.
using its raw energy and DIY ethos to express their anger,
Yeah.
their frustration, and their desire for change.
And on the flip side,
Yeah.
you also have genres like hip-hop and R&B, which have historically been spaces where Black artists have been able to express their experiences and perspectives.
Absolutely.
And within those genres,
Yeah.
you have artists like Frank Ocean and 𝗧𝗔, who are using their music to explore their queer identities in a really authentic and nuanced way.
It's like Each genre has its own unique history and cultural context.
Right.
And that context influences the ways in which artists can use music as a tool for social commentary and change.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating to see how these artists are pushing boundaries and blurring lines, challenging what it means to be a hip-hop artist or a punk rocker or a electronic musician.
Right.
They're claiming their space and redefining the rules.
It's about breaking free from those narrow boxes, creating something new,
Right.
something that reflects the complexity of their lived experiences.
I see.
But it's not always easy, right?
No, it's not.
There are still so many barriers
Yeah.
that intersex and transgender artists face in the music industry.
Absolutely. There's still so much work to be done.
Right.
Think about the economic realities of being an emerging artist.
Yeah, okay.
It's tough for anyone, but it can be especially challenging for artists from marginalized communities
Right.
who might face discrimination when trying to book gigs,
Yeah,
secure funding,
right.
or get their music heard.
And then there's the whole issue of media representation, which
Yeah.
we talked about earlier.
We did.
We're seeing more diversity in the mainstream now,
We are.
but there's still a long way to go.
Right. We need to move beyond tokenism and towards genuine inclusivity.
Yeah.
We need more intersex and transgender artists in positions of power,
Right.
behind the scenes, in production roles, in executive positions.
Right.
That's how we create lasting change.
It's about shifting the whole system,
Yes,
not just making space for a few exceptional individuals.
exactly.
But it's not just about the industry, right?
No?
There are societal barriers, too. The way we talk about gender,
Uh-huh.
the assumptions we make,
Right.
the stereotypes we perpetuate,
Yeah.
all of that has an impact on how intersex and transgender artists are perceived and treated.
You're absolutely right.
It's a big deal.
It is. That's why education and awareness are so important.
Okay.
We need to challenge those harmful narratives
Yeah.
and create a culture where everyone feels safe and respected to express their authentic selves. And that's where organizations like GLAD and Trans Lifeline come in.
Right.
They're not just providing resources and support.
Right.
They're actively working to change hearts and minds.
You know, it's incredible to see how much these organizations do.
It is.
I was reading on their websites that they're involved in everything from media monitoring to policy advocacy to educational workshops.
It's amazing.
It's like they're tackling this issue from all angles.
They are, and they're making a real difference.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about big organizations, right?
Right.
It's also about everyday people taking action. It's about having conversations, challenging biases, and supporting artists in our local communities.
So it's about all of us doing our part,
Yeah.
big or small,
Right.
to create a more inclusive and equitable world.
I love that.
And you know what this whole conversation has really got me thinking about?
What's that?
That Synthetic Sisters series again.
Oh, yeah.
Those AI-generated music projects from the future.
Future of music.
It's like they're beckoning us to consider what role technology could play in all of this.
It's almost like a challenge, isn't it?
It is.
Could AI be a tool for dismantling these barriers
Yeah.
and creating new opportunities for marginalized artists?
Right. Could it help us reimagine what music can be and how it can be used to create a more just and equitable world?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
It's definitely something to ponder.
It is.
But you know what? Before we get too lost in the future,
Yeah.
I think it's important to bring it back to the present. There are so many incredible intersex and transgender artists making music right now,
Oh, yeah.
pushing boundaries, challenging norms,
Right.
and inspiring us with their stories.
You're absolutely right.
And I think the best way to honor their work and support their journeys
Yeah.
is to listen to their music, to amplify their voices,
Right.
and to celebrate their creativity.
So what are some of the artists you're excited about right now?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Who should we be listening to?
Well, there's a young artist named Shamir who's absolutely captivating.
Shamir. Okay.
His music blends elements of pop,
Uh-huh.
R&B,
Okay.
and country.
Wow. An interesting mix.
It is.
Okay.
And his lyrics are incredibly raw and honest.
I like that.
He's been really open about his experiences as a genderqueer person.
Okay.
And his music reflects that complexity and vulnerability.
Shamir, I'll have to check him out.
We should.
Anyone else?
Oh, definitely. There's also 𝗧𝗓𝗓, a Venezuelan producer and singer who's known for their experimental electronic music.
Ooh, experimental electronic music.
Yes.
I'm always down for something that bends the rules.
Me too.
Okay.
Their work is really pushing the boundaries of what music can be.
Cool.
And they've been a vocal advocate for trans rights.
Awesome. And then there's Sophie, who we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Tragically, she passed away a couple of years ago.
She did.
But her music continues to be so influential.
It does.
He was a true pioneer, not just for her innovative sound, but also for her fearless self-expression.
Exactly.
Her music was a celebration of queerness and a rejection of binary thinking.
Yes.
It's amazing how her music continues to resonate even after she's gone. It's like her legacy lives on through these sonic landscapes she created.
It does, and it's a reminder that even in the face of loss, music can be a source of comfort, connection, and inspiration.
Yeah. You know, it's striking how every artist we've talked about today, whether it's Anoni, Shamir, Arca, Sophie, Sky, and Jordan, they're all using music to create something bigger than themselves.
I agree.
It's about more than just entertainment.
Right.
It's about community. It's about social change.
Yeah.
It's about pushing for a world where everyone can be their authentic selves.
And that's what I find so inspiring.
Absolutely.
Music has this incredible ability to connect us across differences, to challenge our perspectives, and to remind us of our shared humanity.
It's like this universal language.
It is.
That speaks to something deep within us.
Yeah.
It transcends words and touches our hearts in a way that nothing else can.
Exactly. And I think that's what we need more of in the world today.
I agree with you.
More empathy.
Yeah.
More understanding.
Right.
More connection.
Absolutely.
And music can be a powerful catalyst for all of that.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder.
Sounds good.
What are some of the ways you're seeing music being used to create positive change in the world?
It's a great question.
Yeah, just something to think about.
Whether it's through supporting artists, attending concerts, having conversations, or simply listening with an open mind and heart.
Yeah.
We can all play a role in making the world a more inclusive and harmonious place through the power of music.
Beautifully said. And now we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
Be right back to finish up this deep dive into the fascinating world of intersex and transgender artists. Don't go anywhere.
It's like we've journeyed through the past and the present.
I know, right?
And with those synthetic sisters, even gotten a glimpse into the future of music.
Crazy.
It really highlights how music is always evolving, pushing boundaries, reflecting the social landscape of its time.
Totally. It makes you wonder what stories will be told through music in the years to come.
Yeah.
Especially as technology keeps changing the game.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Just a few decades ago, the idea of AI composing music was pure science fiction.
Right.
Now it's becoming a reality.
It's wild.
And with projects like the Synthetic Sisters series, supposedly coming from the future, who knows what sonic landscapes await us?
It's mind-blowing, but with all this tech talk, I'm curious.
Great.
What does AI actually bring to the table that a human artist doesn't?
Right.
Like, can it really capture the raw emotion, the soul of music?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
AI can analyze data, recognize patterns, and even generate melodies that are technically impressive.
Yeah.
But can it replicate the human experience?
Right.
The heartache, the joy, the struggle that gives music its depth and meaning.
Right.
That's the things get tricky.
It's like AI can create the sound, but can it create the feeling?
Right.
Can it connect with us on that emotional level that makes music so powerful?
And that's where the human element will always be essential.
I agree.
Think back to Sky and Jordan.
Okay.
Their music was born from their lived experiences.
Right.
Their struggles, their triumphs. It was that raw authenticity that resonated with listeners.
Yeah.
And created such a strong sense of community.
It's like AI might be able to mimic human emotion.
Right.
But can it truly feel it? Can it pour its soul into a song the way a human artist can?
That's a question for the philosophers, maybe even for the future to decide.
I like that.
But for now, I think it's safe to say that human creativity and expression remain at the heart of music.
Absolutely. And you know, that brings us back to the core of this deep dive.
Yeah.
I've explored music as activism, the importance of representation, the power of community support, and even the mind-bending possibilities of AI-generated music.
I know, it's been quite a journey.
It has.
And for me, it all circles back to the power of music to create change, to challenge norms, to connect us on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Whether it's a protest song from the 60s, a contemporary hip-hop track tackling social issues, or even a futuristic AI composition.
Yeah.
Music has this unique ability to move us, to inspire us,
Yeah.
and to make us think differently about the world.
So as we wrap up, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think it's about being conscious listeners,
Okay.
about actively seeking out diverse voices and perspectives. It's about supporting artists who are using their platform to create positive change.
Right.
And it's about recognizing that music is more than just entertainment. It's a powerful force that can shape our hearts, our minds, and even our world.
Beautifully said. And remember that Synthetic Sisters series?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a glimpse into a future where technology and human creativity merge.
Right.
To create music that's even more inclusive, more expressive, and more impactful than we can imagine today.
The future of music is wide open. Who knows what sonic adventures await?
And that's what makes it so exciting. So keep listening.
Yeah.
Keep exploring and keep the music playing. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.